So is the screen visible to you? Please answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay, so let us revise what we studied in previous lecture and immediately start with the today's topic. So yesterday we talked about various architectures of deep neural network, and we studied basics of convolutional neural network architecture. So it is basically motivated from human brain visual cortex, and main important feature of CNN is convolutional neural network derives features on its own, as this is a deep neural network. So let us talk more about various layers in case of CNN, convolutional neural networks. So we studied about how to perform two-dimensional convolution. So just as a revision, let us consider one more example. So say now here we are considering a 3x3 filter, which is averaging type of filter. So this is a 3x3 filter with all the filter coefficient values as 1/9. Okay, so we are considering averaging operation or blurring operation by using standard averaging filter or box filter. So as indicated here, this say initially we start with very first pixel, which is indicated here in green. Okay, so this is your pixel under consideration, and this is mask, where mask region, where your mask is aligned with the image area. Okay, so this is 3x3 local region on which currently mask is applied. So what we need to do, we need to multiply the filter coefficients. So here filter coefficients are 1/9, 1/9, 1/9 at all the locations which are indicated here by yellow color, and central location which is indicated by green color. So all these filter values are 1/9. Now instead of writing everywhere 1/9, what we can do is we can simply take that parameter 1/9 outside the mask, and we can have all these coefficients as 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and outside the mask we can write 1/9, as this is common factor between all coefficients. So basically we need to add all these numbers, okay, and then divide it by 9 to get the operation of averaging filter. Right? All of you are familiar with this operation. Am I right? Please type yes or no. All of you are, I think, familiar with this operation, right? Please type yes or no. Okay. So I'm getting few yes responses. So I'm going to next slide. So then similar operation we can perform on next pixel simply by scrolling the mask by one column. Right now this is your region under consideration, and hence now this mask is aligned with next 3x3 region as shown here. Okay, so this yellow region gives you next local neighborhood for the next pixel value. Okay, and the process is continued till the last column. Then mask is scrolled downwards, and you can determine new value of a new pixel, which is 12, after completion of all columns from first row. You can go to this next row and so on. Okay, So I think this operation is known to you. So I'm not going into details of all uh, calculations. Okay. So just I'm erasing these values. Okay. So for next pixel, you can take average of all these 9 pixel values to determine new value of this original pixel with value 10. Okay, so this value is 8, then the mask is scrolled again and the process is continued. Now we have shifted to second row. Okay, that is 12, 10 and 11. Okay, so this is your second row. Again, you need to scroll the mask over all these elements. Okay, so similarly, when we apply this process of say averaging filter or mean filter, we are getting this 3 by 3 image as enhanced image or resultant image by application of this particular filter of size 3 by 3. Okay, and with weight values as all 111 and entire matrix is scaled down by 9. Okay, so this is your resultant image. Now let us have a look at relation between your original image size and resultant image size in terms of filter size, original image width, then number of zero paddings and stride rate. What is stride rate? Yesterday we talked about it. What do you mean by stride? Or just type stride value for the current example. Just now we have considered one example of applying 3 by 3 filter on this 5 by 5 image. Please write down S value or stride value for this example. Okay, it is 1. Yes, stride value is 1 because we are scrolling the mask by one column and one row. Is it clear, Krutika? It is not 3, but it is 1. Because stride means by how much amount we are scrolling the mask column wise and row wise. Okay, so stride value is 1 for this particular example. Now, what is filter size? We have considered 3 by 3 filter. So width and height are same for the filter and filter size is 3. And what is original image size? Image width and height is also same. It is 5 by 5 for the given example. Okay, so for the given example, your width size W is 5, filter width is 3. Then we have not used zero padding, right? So your P term is 0 and stride rate is 1. So if you substitute these values in this equation, you can get the width of the resultant image. Okay. Now for all the examples, we are considering square size images and square size filters. So your width parameter is same as height parameter for original image as well as for filter as well as for zero padding terms. Okay, so this equation W2 is equal to W1 minus F plus 2P divided by S plus 1 gives us width or dimensions of the resultant image. Okay, so with this example, it is clear. I think we have justified this equation. Here your original image size is 5 by 5, so your W parameter is 5. Filter size we have used is 3 by 3, so here we have substituted F as 3. Then we have not used zero padding around the image. So here we have substituted P as 0 and stride rate or the rate by which we are scrolling the mask is 1. One column, one row. So here 5 minus 3 plus 0 gives you 2 and this 2 by 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 results in 3. And this 3 represents width or dimensions of your resultant image. Is it clear? So we are getting here image resultant image size as 3 by 3. Even for height, you have similar equations because we are considering symmetry for all the parameters. Is it clear how we are getting this resultant image size as 3? If clear, tell me what is the resultant image size if we consider stride rate as 2 instead of stride as 1. If we scroll the mask by 2, if our stride rate is 2, means first we are going to consider this pixel, then this pixel, not immediate neighbor but the next neighbor. Okay, so if stride rate is 2, tell me what is the resultant image size. Please type your answer in the chat box. Okay, so here I'm getting few answers. So here, okay, your answer is correct. If we are not using zero padding, that is, if P in this equation, if we substitute P as 0, okay, and if our S is 2, then this will become 5 minus 3, 2 divided by 2. So it results in 1, and 1 plus 1 gives you 2. So if we use stride rate of 2, we are getting 2 by 2 image instead of 3 by 3. So as we increase the slide rate, your resultant image size will decrease. Do you agree to this statement? As stride rate increases, we are skipping more and more number of columns and rows, and that's why your resultant image size is reducing as we keep on increasing the stride rate. Okay, now let us consider one more example. Now, if we add padding of 1, if we add 0 padding around this image, and if this padding size is 1, what is the resultant image size? If we add 0 padding of 1 row, 1 column to the existing image. So actually your image will be, image is increased by 1 row and 2 rows and 2 columns when we add 0 padding. So we can directly observe here, when we add 0 padding here of say 1, means 1 row here, 1 row here, 1 column here, 1 column here. That's why here in the equation it is 2 times P, because we are adding 1 0 padding row on both sides of the existing image. Okay, so when we add 0 padding and P is equal to 1, in that case your W1 is 5, F is 3, and padding is used as 1. So you will get this equation 5 minus 3, which is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 by say stride rate is 1, and 4 plus 1 gives you 5, right? So if we use 0 padding of 1 row on each side and 1 column on each side, resultant image size will be 5 by 5, and it won't be 3 by 3 as shown here. Okay, so resultant image size will be 5 by 5, because as we have added 0 padding, you can determine value of very first pixel in the image. That is possible. Also, you can determine new value for the last pixels in the image. Okay, so resultant image size will be 5 by 5 and not 3 by 3 if we consider P as 1. Is it clear? Now consider one more example. If your P is 1, if P is 1 and stride rate is 2, now tell me what is resultant image size. If P is 1 and if we consider stride of 2, if we scroll the mask by 2 and not by 1, what is the resultant image size? Assume all other parameters as same in this particular example, except stride parameter. Yes, Aditya, your answer is correct. Supreet, Your answer is correct. What about others? Others, are you getting the things? If getting, please give answer to this question. Your original image size is 5 by 5, that is W is 5, F is 3, P is, we are considering P as 1, and now say stride rate is 2. What is the resultant image size? Stride rate is 2 means we are scrolling the mask by 2 rows and 2 columns. What about others? I am getting very few answers. At least type yes or no whether you are getting the things, so that I can proceed to next slide. Okay, yes, now I'm getting few more answers. Good. So it means you're getting the things. Okay, so answer for this question is 3 by 3. If stride rate is 2, resultant image size is 3 by 3. Okay. Let me. Now, in case of convolutional neural networks, your first few layers are convolutional layers, like all the initial layers, they perform convolution operation by applying various filters on the image. Now, if your image is gray image, dimension of the input array is your image size, that is number of rows multiplied by number of columns into 1, because for gray image you need only one plane to represent your pixel values, right? So here you need, for gray image you need only one plane. Now instead of gray image, if you are considering input image as color image, okay, so for color image your third dimension is 3. One plane you need to represent red color, another plane you need to represent green color, and you need third plane to represent blue color, because for images we have input images as in RGB format. Okay, so or it might be in CMY format or some other color format. Okay, and for representing color information you need 3 planes, right? So for when we are using input image as color image for convolutional neural network, we need 3 planes, right? So your image size will be row number into column number into 3, because 3 is needed to represent these 3 planes, red, green and blue. Okay, so depth is 3 when you are using color images, and when you are using monochrome images, depth parameter is 1. And we apply if we are using color images, we apply similar 2D convolution operation on all the 3 planes instead of a single plane. Okay, so the relation between your input image, output image and filter size is mentioned here. If S is stride rate, if K represents number of filters, F represents filter size, and P represents padding size, and if your original image size is W1, H1, D1. So this is your W1, H1 and depth D1, and this is your resultant number of images by applying various filters on a convolution layer. So this resultant image size is W2 into H2 into D2, where D2 represents resultant depth. Okay, so we are considering same equation that we have talked about one image plane. Only difference is now your depth parameter will change. For color images, this depth parameter is important. Okay, so here, as we have already studied, your W2 is given by W1 minus F plus 2P divided by stride rate plus 1. New height of the resultant image H2 is given by H1 minus F plus 2P divided by S plus 1, and depth will remain as D2 is equal to D1 if it is gray image. Okay, otherwise it will change. Okay, so here consider one more example. If we are using an image with size W1 H1 D1 as 227 into 3. This is original image size, means this is a color image because depth is 3. Okay, now say we are using 96 convolution filters. So here your K parameter, number of filters is 96. It also adds to the resultant depth. Okay, so K value is 96 and say stride rate considered as 4 and P parameter is say 0. Okay, so consider all these input values. W1 H1 D1 is 227, 227 3. Stride rate S is 4. Capital K, that is number of filters, is 96. Then filter size F is 11 by 11 and no padding is used. So P is 0. So now determine what is the resultant image size. Okay. So here your new value W2, again W2 and H2 are same because your image width and height are same. Okay, so here I have displayed only result of W2. So W2 is W1 minus F plus 2P divided by S plus 1. So here this is 227 minus F size, filter size for this example is 11. P is 0. So this term, last term will vanish. Okay, and this whole parameter numerator is divided by S value, which is 4 in the given example, plus 1. So if you compute these values, you will get resultant output as 55. Okay, so your output image size is 55 by 55, right? Because your original image size is it's square in nature, so your H2 parameter is same as 55. So your resultant image size is 55 by 55. And now what is depth parameter? Now your original image is color image, so you already have 3 planes, right? So because it is indicated here as 3, so you will have this parameter. And now these 96 convolution filters, those are applied on all these 3 planes. So effectively your image depth will be multiplied by 96 because there are 96 convolution filters. In the example, it is mentioned that there are 96 convolution filters. Getting this? So resultant output size will be 96 multiplied by 55 multiplied by 55 multiplied by 3. Okay, so are you getting this? So there is a question that, ma'am, how come output size has 4 dimensions? Actually, there are no 4 dimensions. Your depth parameter will be 96 into 3. Is it clear? Is it clear? So resultant image will have width of 55, height of 55, and depth parameter is 96 into 3. I have not combined these two numbers in this on this slide. Is it clear? Okay, good. Okay, so now let us proceed to next slide. So I think all of you are getting how we have derived this resultant image size in terms of, let me annotate this. So this 55 say represents image width. This second 55 represents image height. And this 96 multiplied by 3. This represents image depth. Image depth is 96 multiplied by 3. Okay, so hope it is clear to all of you. Okay. So this is the process to determine resultant image size or output image size from a convolution layer. Okay, so hope you have understood concepts of convolution operation, convolution layer, and relation between input size and output size for the given convolution layer. Now, next important parameter of your convolution neural network is pooling layer. If you just go to, sorry. Okay. So, in order to determine features of given input image, there is combination of convolution layer, pooling layer, again one convolution layer, pooling layer, and so on. So, after every convolution layer, you have a pooling layer. Why do we use pooling layer? It is basically for reducing the amount of data by using subsampling operation. Okay. So pooling layer is usually, it uses size of 2 by 2, mask size or pooling mask size is 2 by 2. Okay, so this pooling mask size is, for most of the applications, it is used of size 2 by 2. Okay, and there are various types of pooling operations. So we can use either maximum pooling, minimum pooling, or average pooling. And now let us consider, this is your given input image which has size 4 by 4. This might be result of previous convolution layer. Okay, so let us assume that you have multiple sets of 4 by 4 images from one particular convolution layer. Okay, now we are applying pooling mask on this image of size 2 by 2, and say now we are using stride factor as 2. Okay, so your and operation for pooling is used as maximum pooling. Okay, now let us understand meaning of maximum. Okay, so now as the mask size is 2 by 2, now we are considering this 2 by 2 area from the given image. Okay, now the operation indicated is maximum, means from the given 4 pixels we determine maximum value. So here maximum value is 6, right? So result of this pooling operation is 6 as shown here. Okay, then we scroll the pooling mask by stride 2. So initially we align mask at this position. So for next operation, your mask will be here, right? Because stride rate is mentioned as 2. Okay. So now your mask is moved at next location. Okay. And now here again there are 4 pixels. We have to apply same operation, that is max operation. So from 7893 maximum value is 9. So we are getting it here 9. Similarly, for next position, your mask will be again scrolled downwards by 2. So now this is your new local neighborhood. Okay, initially this was row position, by stride rate to next position is here. Okay, so now max, apply max operation on this data. So maximum value is 10. Okay, so this is your result. So you are getting here result as 12. And again scroll the mask by 2 columns. So this is your new local neighborhood. Here values are 4, 11, 3, 3, and max operation will give you result of 11 as shown here. Okay. So is this pooling operation clear to all of you? So the sole purpose of pooling layer is to subsample the data. So your original image size was 4 by 4, and after max pooling with stride of 2 and mask size 2 by 2, now the resultant image size is 2 cross 2, right? So there is 50% reduction in the data. Okay. So this is max pooling operation. Now, if instead of max pooling, if I apply minimum pooling, what is meaning of minimum? Select the minimum value from the given area. Say other parameters are same, stride is 2, mask size is 2 by 2, and instead of max operation, if you are using minimum pooling operation, type your result in the chat box. Yes, Guru Raj, your answer is correct. Okay, so hope all of you are getting the things. So the resultant, yes, very good. Many of you have given me correct answer. Raj, Tejas, Suprit, your answers are correct. So we can apply either max pooling, minimum pooling, or third type of pooling operation is average. Means consider average of the 4 pixels or average of the neighborhood under consideration. Now type your answers by average pooling. It will be 3 plus 4 plus 6 plus 5 whole divided by 4. Okay. So that is meaning of average pooling. Please type your answer if we consider average pooling. Okay, so we have already completed this with minimum pooling. Your result is 3, 3, 2, and 3. Now just make an attempt to use average operation for pooling layer. Okay. So now consider one more example. Now again consider max pooling operation. Consider filter size as 2 by 2. Okay. And tell me what is the result if stride is 1 instead of stride of 2. Now we are considering stride as 1. Okay, Aniket, your answer for averaging filter is correct. Very good. Okay, now all of you, please try this next question. Please type your answer for next question. Now for the same example, that is your input image size is 4 by 4. We are using max operation for pooling. And now instead of stride of 2, stride rate is 1. If stride rate is 1, what is the resultant image size? I want only resultant image size. Please type your answer. Yes, Vaibhav, your answer is correct. Yes, Aniket, you have answered actual number values. Suprit, your answer is correct. Revati, you have made some mistake. Okay, but good that all of you are attempting. So if your stride is 1, first we will consider this row, then this is next one, and this is third one, right? So your resultant image size will be 3 by 3. Okay. So you will get these results. If we consider again max pooling with stride 1, your first you will be considering this 3 by 3, this 2 by 2 region, mask size is 2 by 2. So max value from this region 2 by 2 is 6. Then you are scrolling the mask simply by one column. So the next considered area is this one. And max operation on this will give you result of 9. Then third region is this one. and it results in value 9. After completing all the columns, then we will scroll the mask downwards by one row because stride rate is 1, and max operation will give you result of 12. Then this portion, this local neighborhood, again max value is 12, so result is 12. Then this last one, and here max value is 11. Then once again scroll the mask downwards by one row. So this is your region of interest or local neighborhood, which includes values 10, 12, 2 and 3. And when we apply mask operation, we get value of 12. And similarly, we can process last two regions, right? So hope this is clear to you, pooling layer operation. Okay. Okay. So many of you have given me correct answer. Very good, Aditya, Revati, Raj. Okay. Okay. So with this much basic information related to convolution neural network, we proceed to next slide. Just before going to next slide, please type names of 3 types of layers in case of convolutional neural network. 2 layers we have talked just now. There is one more type of layer if we consider convolution neural network as a whole. So type the names of 3 layers. Those are present in a convolution neural network. Yes, I am getting answers. Yes, Vaibhav, this is correct. First layer, in first module, there is combination of convolution layers and pooling layers. So again, convolution layer, pooling layers. These modules are useful for determining features, and after that you have fully connected layer. Very good, Vaibhav. Also, I'm getting answers from Shreyasi, Aditya. Very good. Okay. Shivam, your answer is correct. So the third important layer is fully connected layer. Now let us have a look at some pre-trained convolution neural network architectures. So one of the example of convolutional neural networks is LeNet-5. Okay, so this LeNet-5 is used for handwritten character recognition. Now here you can observe various layers. Okay, so here you have one convolution layer, then subsampling layer or pooling layer, again one more convolution layer, then one more pooling layer, and after that you have fully connected layers, 3 fully connected layers with different values of nodes. Okay, now between this last convolution layer and fully connected layer, there is need of flattening operation. Why do we need flattening operation? Your convolution layers gives you convolution layers give you result which is 2-dimensional in nature, and it also has certain depth. So there are 3 dimensions: height, width and depth. Now when we are going for 1-dimensional fully connected layers, you need to flatten these layers. You need to convert this 3-dimensional data to 1-dimensional data. Okay, so you need one operation in between these 2 types of layers. Okay, and that operation is known as flattening operation. Okay, so now let us have a look at details of this LeNet-5. Okay, now for this LeNet-5, we have input image of size 32 by 32. Now in this example of LeNet, filter size used is 5 by 5. Stride used is 1 for very first convolution layer. Now just I want answers from your side. If your original image size is 32 by 32 and filter size is 5 by 5 with stride of 1, what is the resultant image dimension? What is the output size by applying first convolution operation? And say we are using 6 such filters. So your capital K is 6. Getting this, your capital K value is 6. Filter size F is 5. Stride S is 1. And input image size is 32 by 32. So after first convolution layer, tell me resultant output size. Resultant outputs, height, width, and depth. And this input image is gray image or monochrome image. So for input image, depth is 1. Depth parameter D is equal to 1 for the input image. Yes, I am getting some answers. Very good, Aditya. Okay, so now I think you are getting why I have given stress on these calculations, because in order to determine output sizes from each convolution layer, this equation is very, very important. You should have understanding of all these parameters. Okay, so Aditya, your answer is correct. If you resultant image size will be, it answer is also available here in this slide. Resultant output data size is 6 by 28 by 28. Why 6? Because there are 6 filters and input image depth is 1. And why 28 by 28? So if you substitute values here in this equation, your resultant image width and height is 28 by 28. Hope this is clear to all of you. So after first convolution layer, your resultant output size is 6 by 28 by 28. Now after first convolution layer, there is polling layer. It's not polling, it has to be pooling layer, POOLING. So after first pooling operation, what is the resultant output size? Here consider pooling as 2 by 2 max pooling and stride rate is 2. So if you again use this equation, you will get resultant output size by after first pooling layer, that is after S2 layer, size is 6 by 14 by 14 because there are 6 filters. So resultant size is 6 by 14 by 14. Okay, so sole purpose of this layer, pooling layer, is reduce the data by subsampling operation. So in LeNet, you have one convolution layer C1 to determine feature maps. Then there is pooling layer, which is named here as S2. After that, there is one more convolution operation named here as C3. And here, total number of filters applied is 16. Okay. Now number of filters is increased. So you have to apply these 16 filters on this output, which is of size 6 by 14 by 14. Okay. Again, filter size used is 5 by 5, stride is 1. So you will get resultant output size as indicated here, 16 by 10 by 10. And then after this convolution layer C3, there is one more pooling layer, and again it uses pooling of filter size 2 by 2 and stride of 2. So the resultant size is 16 by 5 by 5. Okay. So there are 2 convolution layers, and corresponding to 2 convolution layers, there are 2 subsampling layers or pooling layers. Okay. For LeNet 5. Now just now instead of now let us talk something about trainable parameters in this network. So for layer C1, just tell me how many trainable weights are there. Now, whatever your filter coefficients, those are trainable parameters for your convolution layer 1. Why? Because when we train the network, we keep on updating these filter coefficients so that you get correct features which add to which add to the accuracy or final performance of the network. So when we are training the network, we keep on updating these 6 filter coefficient values. So for layer C1, how many trainable weights are there? Can anybody tell me? Trainable weights for convolution layer 1. There are 6 filters, each of size 5 by 5. Okay, so how many trainable weights or trainable coefficient, filter coefficient values are there for layer C1? Please type your answer in the chat box. I'm not getting any answer. See, for convolution layer C1, yes, I got one answer. Okay, so here there are 6 filters and each filter size is 5 by 5. So total there are 25 into 6. Those many filter coefficients are there. That is 150. Okay. And one more parameter is there. 150, or for every filter there is a bias term. Okay. Now as there are 6 filters corresponding to these 6 filters, there are 6 bias terms. So total trainable weights for layer C1, convolution layer C1 are 156. Now tell me trainable weights for your next convolution layer. I am giving you some time for computing trainable weights for next layer, which is C3. Okay. Tell me how many trainable weights are there for layer C3. So for your layer C3, again filter size is 5 by 5, stride is 1, and there are 16 such filters. Yes, I am getting some answers. Let's different answers from Aditya, Raj, Tejas, and Vaibhav. Okay, so now for convolution layer 3, there are 16 filters, each of size 5 by 5 for 6 feature maps from previous layer. In previous layer, there are 6 feature maps, and for all these 6 feature maps, we need 16 filters of size 5 by 5. So this 16 into 25, this parameter we need to multiply by 6 feature maps. Okay, because we use different filter coefficients for these 6 feature maps. So total trainable weights are 6 into 16 into 25, which is effectively 6 into 400. So total there are 2400 filter coefficients, and for every filter, for all these 16 filters, there are so there are 16 bias terms. So for convolution, next convolution layer C3, there are 2416 trainable weights. Is it clear to all of you? Because for next layer, we consider 6 feature maps from previous layer, and for all those 6 maps, we use different 16 filters. That's why this term term 16 into 5 by 5, this has to be multiplied by 6. This is very important. And that's why for convolution layer 3, there are huge number of trainable parameters which are indicated here as 2416. See, today I have to complete all these trainable parameters. So just now I'm going to extend lecture by 5-10 minutes. Please bear with this because all these are very important. Okay. So as we studied for first layer, there were, for very first layer, there were 5 by 5 filters and total number of filters were 6. So 25 into 6 plus 6 bias terms, that was number of trainable weights for C1. For C3 means second convolution layer. Just now, as I have explained you, total there are 2400 filter coefficients plus 16 bias terms. So there are 2416 a number of total trainable weights. Now let us see how many number of weights are there for fully connected layer. Okay. Now after second convolution layer, there is once again one more pooling layer. Okay. So here, because of pooling operation, your actual output size is reduced to 16 by 5 by 5. Now this layer is flattened, means we convert this two-dimensional data to one-dimensional nodes, single neurons. So total number of neurons after flattening operation will be, this will be given by 16 into 5 into 5. So at node S4, after node S4, after flattening operation, there will be total 400 nodes. Getting this? There, here your output size is 16 by 5 by 5. Okay. So 25 multiplied by 16. When we flatten this, we will get total 400 nodes. And after this flattening operation, your network is similar to your conventional neural network. Okay. So here there are 400 nodes after flattening operation. Okay. Now these 400 nodes are connected to 120 nodes from the next fully connected layer, which is C5, which is named here as C5. Okay. So here these 400 nodes are connected to 120. So the weight matrix for these connections is 400 by 120. Okay. Plus there are 120 bias terms corresponding to these 120 nodes. Okay. So number of weights by this operation, 400 into 120 plus 120. So total there are 48120 trainable weights between S4 and C5. Getting this? Because of flattening operation, this 16 into 5 into 5, this output results into 400 nodes which are arranged in one dimension, and those 400 nodes are connected to 120 nodes. So this is exactly similar to weight connections for conventional neural network. So there are total 400 into 120 weights between S4 and C5, and for every node from C5 there is one bias term. Okay, so this 120 is added, and in all we are getting 48120 trainable parameters for layer C5. Now on similar lines, tell me how many nodes are there between C5 and F6. Between C5 and F6. Please type your answer in the chat box. How many layers are there between C5 and F6? Please type your answer. For C5, there are 120 nodes. Those 120 nodes are connected to F6 layers, 84 nodes. Okay, so here there are 120 nodes. For F6, there are 84 nodes. Please type your answer for this question. Don't type your roll number and name. These here weight matrix size will be 120 by 84, right? If we have 3 nodes in one layer and if we have 2 nodes in next layer, we get 3 into 2. Those, that is your weight matrix size, that is 6. So here you have 120 nodes in source layer and you have 84 nodes in the destination layer. So the weight matrix size is 120 multiplied by 84. And in addition to that, there is one bias term for every node from F6 layer. So there are 84 bias terms. So for this next layer, C5 to F6, you have total 120 into 84 plus 84, and this will give you 10164 nodes. Yes, Tejas, your answer is correct. Dev, your answer is correct. Very good. Now on similar lines, determine trainable weights between F6 and output layer. F6 and output layer. Now in F6 there are 84 nodes. Yes, Tejas, in output there are 10 nodes. So 84 into 10, it results in 840 plus 10 bias terms for the output. Yes, Gururaj, Tejas, your answers are correct. So for last layer, trainable weights are 850. 84 into 10 plus 10. It is 850. And now we have determined trainable parameters for C1, between C1, S2, then between S2 and C3. And we have also determined trainable parameters for all the fully connected layers. Now from that we can compute total trainable parameters for this LeNet 5 architecture. So for LeNet 5 architecture, total trainable weights is addition of these two. Total trainable weights for fully connected layer plus total trainable weights for convolution layers. For fully connected layer, these are your total trainable weights, 48120 plus 10165 plus 850. This gives you total 1. Then total weights for convolution layer, that is addition of weights for layer C1 with that for layer C3. So it is 156 plus 2416. And when you add total 1 with total 2, you will get the total trainable parameters. And this total is 61706. So you can understand that how much your convolutional neural network is computationally intensive. For this particular LeNet example, there are only 2 convolution layers and 3 fully connected layers. And with that, you need total 61706 trainable parameters. In spite of weight sharing, because we are using same filter, we are applying same filter over the entire image, right? So we are sharing those weights. for the entire image. So in spite of sharing the weights, your computational complexity of deep neural network or convolution neural network is very high, because with this simple example you might have understood how much it is computationally intensive. Okay, so with this we conclude today's lecture. Okay, now you can type your roll number and name. Thanks for bearing with me for extra 10 minutes, but these concepts are very, very important, because when you are going to implement your algorithm on actual hardware with GPU, CPU or FPGA, all these counts matter a lot, and you should have awareness of these calculations so that you can think of appropriate hardware architecture. Either you go for FPGA or a platform like NVIDIA CUDA Jetson machines. Okay, this computational complexity is very important, and understanding of all these parameters is very, very important when you are going to implement CNNs. Okay, thank you all. If you have typed your attendance, you can leave the meeting.